At the component level specifically, you have seen an example of local state management with useReducer. However, there may come a time when you want to communicate the state amongst components. So, consequently, you might want to operate with the global state. And now the question is, how do we approach that? By combining useReducer and useContext, you will be able to manage global state. So in this lecture, we will learn how to use useContext and useReducer to manage and distribute global state. That will be a pretty great combo. Alright, now let's consider a simple counter application with 6 different components. Component A, B, C, and XYZ. So the state of the counter will be maintained in the app.js. And the assignment here is to share the counter state among component A, X, and Z. And also, we are going to share the method to update the state deep down the component tree without having to props drill across the intermediate components. And the solution to this problem is to use the context API. So since we are working with hooks, we are going to use the useContext hook to provide the necessary value that is needed to manage the counter state in component A, X, and Z. Let's get started. So right here, I have cleaned up the app component. It is quite simple, and I believe you can do it at your end. So you just have to wipe off all the components that we imported and then delete all the renders. I want to explain this example in a way that you will understand it well enough. Now, let's begin. Within the components directory, we are going to create a new package called useContext with Reducer. Right within this package, we are going to create component A, X, and Z. Quickly generate the functional components in all the files. Having done this, the next in line is to create a simple counter in the app component. App component. And wait, we have done this before. So all we are going to do is to copy it from my counter1.js. My counter1. Then I'm just going to copy from lines 5 to 16. Go back to the app component and then paste it at the top. So let's quickly import the useReducer at the top level. So we have to place a comma right here and then useReducer. So right within the app component, which is this guy right here, we are going to invoke the useReducer method. And of course, this takes in 2 parameters. One is the reducer method, and the second parameter is the initial state. And all of these will return an array of 2 entries. I'm going to do const. The first element is going to be a count, which is going to store the value of the entire state. And the next element within this array is going to be the dispatch method. So we have to assign it like this. It's as simple as that. This will be used to hold the entire state, which is to store the value of the entire state. And then this will be used to dispatch the action. Don't worry, when we proceed with the implementation, you definitely will understand it well enough. Let's quickly display the value of the state right within the GSS. And of course, we are going to render component A, X, and Z. Go to the top. We have to import component A from component / useContext with reducer / component A. And then we are going to import component X, component Z. Let's have it render over here. So the intention here is to dispatch an action right within these components. Okay, so we want to manage this state over here right in component A, X, and Z. And that exactly is what the intention is. So this over here is referred to as the global state, and we want to manage that state within the nested components. Teaching good? Beautiful. If we have to dispatch the action within these components, we have to make use of the context in order to provide the count value and the dispatch method to be consumed within these components. So let's quickly create the context by using the create context API. Right at the top, we are going to have const count context equal react dot create context. So having created the context, we also have to export it. So having done this, we have to provide this context with a value. And then wrap the entire component in the context provider and specify the value attribute, which is the count value and the dispatch method. Let me show you quickly. So right here, we are going to wrap up the entire application with the context we created. And it is the count context dot provider, because we have to provide it with the value. Highlight and then cut, come here, paste it. And now we have to provide the value. Value equal, we have to take in an object. So we are going to have the count state to be count, comma, and the count dispatch is going to be dispatch. So having done this, when you check out the browser, you see this error. Initial state is not defined. Come back and we have to define the initial state right at the top. Const initial state equal 0. So when you do this and check out the browser, can you see? We have the initial count to be 0. And this is the value of the state. Then we have component A, X, and Z. So the next in line is to consume the state and the dispatch method. So for that, we are going to use the context hook. Head back to VS Code. Let's quickly head on to component A.js. And over here at the top, we have to import useContext. And as well, we have to import the context that we created in the app component. Import. And the name of the context is count context from app.js. Alright, so it is time to consume the context. So right within the component, we are going to invoke the useContext. Let's take in the count context as its parameter. And then we have to assign it to a variable. Const count context equal like this. Okay. So having done this, we will be able to access the dispatch method. Head on to my counter1 and copy the button and then paste it in component A. Okay, let's copy everything from here, including the h1 tag. And then head on to component A, and over here, we just have to paste it in between the div tag. Just like this. Let's quickly format to have a proper indentation. Good. So now the count is going to be Let's take off the h1 tag for now. We don't need it. So here we are no longer going to have the dispatch like this. So we are going to do count_context dot count dispatch. Let me show you in the app.js. We are getting this guy over here in order to dispatch each of these actions. It's as simple as that. So come back to component A. We have to do it for all of the dispatch. So I'm just going to select all the occurrences of dispatch and wipe it off. Paste the context dispatch right here. Save and check out the browser. Can you see? The initial state is 0 and then increment, decrement, reset. Everything is working perfectly fine. So we just have to manage exactly the same state in the rest of the components. That exactly is the intention of the lecture. Come here. I'm just going to highlight everything over here in component A, copy, head on to component X, highlight and then wipe it off, paste. Now we have to change the occurrences of component A to component X. Save. Let's check it out. Beautiful. It is turning out good. Again, to component Z, highlight, wipe it off, paste. Change it to component Z. So let's check it out to see if we are able to manage this state over here right within component A, X, and Z. Check it out on the browser. Alright, so let's make the component name to be descriptive. Come to component Z and paste it here. Sorry, component X. And then lastly, component Z. Save, and on the browser, boom. So let's check it out if we are able to control the global state from component A. Let's click the increment button in component A. Can you see? Everything is working perfectly fine as expected. When you decrement, beautiful. And then when you reset, boom. Let's try it out in component X. Increment, decrement, reset. Component Z, increment, decrement, reset. Friends, this is extremely awesome. So now we are able to manage and control the global state right within component A, X, and Z. And this is possible with useContext and useReducer. And that's it. This is all for now and see you in the next lecture. Stay focused and always take care.